Recording in progress. We had a few things happen over the course of the last week, and a few things are going to happen next week. Starting with, I think, well, John, get us to Rosario and the bully. First of all, for people who don't know, explain to them who they are, because that wasn't the main events of the weekend.
Well, Gabe Rosado has pretty much fought everybody. You know, he fought Lemieux. Right. He didn't beat anybody. He fought Golovkin, left kind of blood on the canvas. He's fought all the top middleweights, and he's blood and guts. You know, he's Philly bred. He's tough as nails. So he was fighting this guy that I'm not even going to attempt to say his name, but his nickname is Bully. That's all anybody needs to know. And right. he likes it. He likes being called Bully. He has it on his robe. He has it on his trunk. So he's enjoying it. Well, he's the guy that was going to fight Kovalev before Kovalev got popped for the steroids.
Popped, right.
Yeah. So he was confident after 7 fights that he could beat Kovalev. Well, Kovalev got popped, so obviously he's suspended. And so Rosado, who fights everybody, Gabe Rosado fights everybody. He says, "Oh yeah, I'll fight him. 7 fights." Give me a break. And I'm like, I've seen the Bully fight. Power. 7 fights, 6 knockouts. Brutalizes the guy. He's thick and strong, and he just walks right after you, winging shots, and most people can't stand up to it. So it's a very interesting matchup. You know, a lot of cliches. The older guy against the younger guy. Power versus the craftiness. Right?
Right.
First round starts. Rosado's getting killed. Guy is just pounding on him, knocking him all over the place, hitting him with body shots, and he takes a knee. I'm sitting there writing it going, because I like Rosado because he's just so gutsy, right? I'm like, well, it's going to be a short article. Well, he gets up. Rosado gets up, and me with the way I think like about movies, right? Reminds me a little bit of my all-time favorite boxing movie, Body and Soul, a little bit, where it's a long story, but the main character, John Garfield's losing, and then he decides that he got betrayed and he's going to do something about it. Well, suddenly near the end of the first round and in the second, Rosado starts firing back a little bit. You're like, holy moly. I mean, he hit him. It didn't matter. He hit him. It didn't matter. But it's like he's getting something going. And then the third round, the guy comes in very much like you guys are like this, much like Pacquiao did against Marquez in the last fight. He comes in face first, wing it, and Rosado times it perfectly. Comes over the top, hits him with the right hand. Bully goes down on his face.
Boom, done.
Done. Tries to get up somehow, but over. And Rosado goes crazy. As I will admit, I did. I jumped off the chair. Yow! I said, because I thought, I like, he's 35, you know, he's going to get a big payday now and everything. But it was so stunning that it was the fight of the weekend, obviously, as you could tell by my reaction. It was because it was unexpected. And I think that's what we love about sports is every now and then, the unexpected will happen.
You get one.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of unexpected or not being unexpected, Charles, what did we find out from the monster, taking out Dasmariñas? Did we confirm that maybe he does belong in the pound for pound conversation, or was this just another guy who's pretty good facing another guy who's not pretty good?
Ooh, that's gonna be rough to answer. I think that I'm not sure, and granted, I mean, John's gonna kill me with this because I'm not sure. I'm not so quick to throw him people up in pound for pound. You know, I mean, I know when you look at somebody like
verified air, yeah.
I didn't put him in pound for pound.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you know, when you think about it, that a lot of people, you know, Lomachenko's a hell of a fighter, but I still had an issue with the number of.
He did.
Yeah, I did. But I said with the monster, I think the monster proved that he's legit. He's definitely legit. See, my problem though is that when you say pound for pound, you're saying he's one of the top 10 fighters right now. And I can go through 135 overall. Right. I could go through 135 to 147 and maybe make argument for a few guys. So I guess my point is, I don't know if I'm going to say he's making moves. He should be in the pound for pound. I think he's making his way up that way towards it. I think he's legit. I think he's solid. I think he's very talented. But I think that we need, for me, if I was doing pound for pound, we need to see him with more legitimate fighters. And I said that about Tank Davis. I still think that, because you even think when Tank Davis beat Leo Santa Cruz, he was light. You need somebody in the same division, the weight division, that can really give him a challenge. So it's not to take any put anything to disrespect him at all for the monster, but I think that he was dynamite. What can you say? He's very impressive. He gives you everything that you're looking for. But for any fighter that we consider to be great, or on his way to be great, or headed towards to be pound for pound, we want to see him challenged. That's my main thing. I want to see these guys earn their keep. I mean, you saw what we'll talk about Charlo later, or if not, whatever. But you want to see guys challenged, and that tells you whether or not they're headed or should be considered to be in the pound for pound.
Well, you just took my segue, so thank you very much. But part of the thing is, can you, will you, should you be held accountable for the rest of the people around you? I mean, John, if the rest of those people that he's fighting don't match up, or he is that much better. See, there's the question. Is he that much better than the people in the division? Or is it the rest of the division is just down right now? See, I don't know if bringing back Donaire proves anything. Who is there that he can prove it against?
Well, and Donaire's going to fight Cashmero, I think, and then the winner will fight the monster. To get where we're talking, because I think he's right up there in the top 10. Meaning he's the 10th spot. He's bumping at it. I know a guy that Frank knows that has him number 1 in the in the pound for pound, and I wouldn't do that. I mean, that's a bit extreme at this point. But to get there, he's a bantamweight, right? He has to move up. Mm-hmm. He does. He's going to have to move up and fight those guys at 122 if he really wants to. I mean, he's got everything he wants. If he wants to stay at bantamweight, he's pretty much cleared out the division, and he can do what he wants to do. He can fight Donaire again. Donaire will be older. Donaire gave him hell. I mean, let's be honest. He broke the bone. We know all that, but in a way, still won the fight handily. I would expect him to probably stop Donaire the second time. I do. Donaire pulled the rabbit out of the hat. I don't see he's going to be 39 when they fight again or something. I don't see him doing any better than right. He won a title, fabulous story. But yeah, to get where Charles was talking about, and to get the Iceman's respect down there and say he's in the top 10, and I actually agree. I think he does have to fight another champion, not an older champion like Donaire, but another hotshot that's rolling along. Beat him, then we start putting him up there. But they're working on it, and he's great. He's can't miss television. He's fun. He knocks people out. I mean, those body shots were things of beauty. So he's getting there. It's just, and that's why he's fighting in America now. You try to get him there. He's charismatic. He's all that stuff. If he likes you, and thinks you're going to make money for him, he'll do it. But if he doesn't, and I don't think he likes Crawford, he'll just say losing money and all this kind of crap that drives me crazy. But in a way, yeah, he's the real deal. Impressive win, real deal for sure.
Okay, well, Charles, we just come up with an idea here. You said, for example, you've got these guys that he doesn't maybe belong, because you can think of guys from 135 to 147 that probably have a better reason to be there. That's a 12-pound gap. Mm-hmm. From 118 to 122, you say he's got to move up and fight somebody, John. How big of a gap in your mind? I know we haven't seen that weight in a long time, but how big of a gap is that when a person like myself says 4 pounds, that's breakfast? Mm-hmm. Is that big of a deal to move up? And it looks like the punching power to sustain that. But what does that prove or not prove if he moves up to 122? If he's not able to handle that difference, what does that prove as far as maybe he's not pound for pound, or maybe it's just he belonged to 118.
Is that for me?
Ooh. That's for you. Yeah, sorry.
I'll say this. I mean, because you can only fight who you fight, right? I mean, if there are some people that have the physical presence, let's say, for instance, you said 122, somebody like that might have the physical presence as they get older. If they're not too much older, they can move to 130. I mean, I know that's a big jump, but I'm just saying it depends on the person's body, their makeup, how they build and stuff. But if he was to stay at 118 and then we go to 122 and that was it, he still could be considered pound for pound just because on his merit. But I think we would, because then it would go on to pure dominance. I mean, you look at Floyd where he won 49, maybe 50 fights. He moved up and down. But if you just continue to remain dominant, then more likely you're gonna get an opportunity to be there because you're so good, and it's not your fault if nobody else comes up and that's who you fight, right? You fight who you fight. But his excellence and his dominance over the years, if the highest he can go is 118, the highest he can go is 122, then so be it. It's not his fault. But I think it's just I would be looking for more of a longevity type of a thing where we're looking for a longer period of succession at that weight. If that's what it is what it is. But I don't know too many people that you're gonna come up and go, even if he does go like that, even though he may be in the top 10 initially or whatever, you're not gonna go, except for John's guy, your guy. He's the number one fighter. I mean, really, most people are like, who? I mean, they heard the name, but they're not going to say, I know that's my guy. Because they're going to want to see, when you look back at the records, I mean, and I'm not in no way saying Gervonta Davis is in the top 10. But when you look back at Gervonta Davis, you're going to be looking at records. You're going to be the same thing that's holding Crawford back. Let's be real. The one thing why, and for me and a lot of other people, when you look at the records, you go, well, who the hell has he fought? Who is his fights? Because and I say that in all with some clarity, because maybe I'm jaded because I'm older. We're all older. And when we came up, the so-called champions, the top 10 guys fought the best. You didn't have to worry about looking at Muhammad Ali's record to see who the hell he fought. Same way with Joe Frazier. You didn't have to go looking, well, I wish he would fight somebody. That wasn't the case. And maybe I'm jaded like that. And maybe it's kind of difficult for me to make that transition, if you will.
I got something to say about that. Okay. Go ahead. I was just going to say, see, that's an argument that is a toughie, because I was thinking about that too. What you said earlier, Frank, he can't help it if he's so much better than everybody in his division, right? He shouldn't get penalized for that. It just shows you how good he is in that division. It's the same argument that hurts Rocky Marciano, because people will say, when he fought Jersey Joe, when he fought Ezra Charles, when he fought Joe Louis, they were all past their prime. True, but that's not his fault. I mean, he'd have fought him before, no doubt about it. He fought Archie Moore. The old Mongoose was still a champion. Sure, he was 100 years old, but he was still a damn good fighter. So do you penalize Marciano for that? Like in a way. Now, if he moves up to super bantamweight, he's got Stephen Fulton and Brandon Figueroa. If he moves up to featherweight, watch Charles. He's got Gary Russell Jr. see that? He's got those guys. And he's got more. My memory just isn't as good. I'm gonna take a peek here just because I'm cheating. He's got Gary Russell. He's got Emmanuel Navarrete, one of my favorites. He's got Leo Santa Cruz. He's got Kid Galahad.
I'm just saying. So why not? If you can,
why not?
Why not? I mean, if you can, why not? I'm not saying come to 147. I mean, but you.
No.
But I'm just saying, why not? Why wouldn't you even initially get to that point? So then you prove somebody like myself to go, okay, Gary Russell Jr. may be a little older at some point if they ever decided, but it's legit. You know, you see a Santa Cruz, which will be lovely because Santa Cruz is looking for a way to come back. So I mean, it's just, I don't know. That's what I like to see, because we in the media are quick these days, and it's happened for a while, to anoint someone as great.
Right.
To accept them as one of the best that we've ever seen.
We love to do that.
Yeah, without them really paying what we call real dues. I mean, you know, as much as I like Zion Williamson in basketball, I'm still, I mean, it's like a big dude running at the playground that would dominate you all day long, but then you play against somebody your size, what else can you do? I'm waiting on that. And before I anoint him as one of the greatest of all times, I need to see more. That's just me.
Well, for those of you that weren't paying attention, to find the listing of the champions, current champions, go to ultimatesportsnetwork.com, USN Boxing. That's all it's right. So you don't have to search. But anyway, see, now here's the point. Okay, now it's not just the media. All right, we've anointed people because they should be, or we thought they should be anointed. I'm just going to go back and look at something real quick here. When you win a championship, we assume you've paid your dues, and that makes sense, right? You know, you fought somebody, you got there, you fought some guy that fought the guy that fought the guy, then you end up getting there. But let's look at something real quick. I'm just going to run down a couple of numbers. Looking from the lower weights on, we have champions, minimum weight. Panya Prabhisa from Thailand, 3-1-0 WBC champion. Hiroti Kaguchi, light flyweight, 108, 15-0. Sonny Edwards, flyweight, 16-0. And I could do this all day. And we remember Lomachenko got a championship belt when he was 9-0, something like that. So it's not just the media we can blame for this. It's they get a shot earlier than they used to. At least it seems that way. The only person I could think of off the top of my head that got that shot without having to fight somebody was Leon Spinks. And I'm sure that's off the top of my head. But this is the Larry Holmes argument that John was making. Is Larry Holmes a great heavyweight? We'll never know. Because unfortunately, the heavyweight division at that point wasn't great, or was it? He was just that much better than everybody. That's the thing we don't know. If you're so much better than everybody else, we maybe devalue everybody. And you mentioned a perfect thing there. Maybe move up a few pounds to fight Leo Santa Cruz, who, and that was the question I wanted to ask John. Why do they have to move up? If you are secure at the weight you're at, and you're good at the weight you're at, to prove it, why do you have to move up to another weight class? And that seems to be the thing we say all along. We're going to get to that in a second, but that's what we seem to say. Well, if he's that good, he can fight up another 4 pounds, another 8 pounds, another 12 pounds, and prove it. Well, if you're naturally 118, why do you have to move up to 126 to prove it? There's not really a question there, but
okay. No, that's boxing. I mean, when you're a heavyweight, you don't have to. But when you're a smaller guy like that, unless you're, say, a Ricardo Lopez, who you guys probably remember, the straw weight was 51-0 or something, and they were always bugging him to move up, and he wouldn't. And he stayed there, and he had a little fan base, but it wasn't that big. So then it comes down to what you want. If you want to, like Charles was saying, if you want to test yourself really by moving up against really good fighters, then you do it. If you're content with staying at the same weight, like some do, like Gary Russell has, if you're Manny Pacquiao, however he went from a flyweight to a welterweight, however he did it, he moved up all those. Yeah, he moved up all that and was knocking people out there for a while. So I think it comes down to you. Now, Inoue is a little guy. I think he can do 122 rather easily. 126, see, then it comes to whether he can bring his power up with him. But really, Frank, to answer your question in a roundabout way, I think it's a legacy thing. If you're one of those guys that want to show you're one of the best fighters who ever lived, doing it is by moving up nowadays when you're a small guy. Chocolatito moved up and he lost. But then he won.
Right.
But could Inoue move up to 122? Yeah, he's got a small frame, but I think he could definitely. 126 would be harder for the guy. It's only 8 pounds. It's like you said, it's only, but when you're little guys like that, that's a lot. Right. And then the power. He doesn't have the same power at 126. If he hits somebody on the button and they look at him, then he's going to have to find another way to win. So I really believe it's a question of you. If you're motivated for a legacy, or if you're content, like Gary Russell, and then you have our guy Santa Cruz who went for the gold. I mean, he got the money, sure, but he knew he was moving up against a powerful young guy. He went for it. He fought as hard as he could, and he got knocked out. So I think sometimes it just depends on you or how much power your promoter has. When your promoter says, no, we don't want to risk that. Or you go, no, I want to risk it. I want to go up and fight this guy. I think Bob Arum's going to want Inoue to move up. I do. I think he thinks he's going to make a gold mine. He's going to take him to Japan, let him fight there occasionally, let him fight in the United States. He thinks that a big showdown with the next, they'll move up to 122 and fight Phil Fulton or Figueroa. And then a showdown with Leo Santa Cruz would be perfect. Charles is loving it. That would be a perfect fight for him, because the old Santa Cruz trying to prove he's a top guy again, and in a way trying to prove I should be in the top of the best fighters in the world right now. So it's, even though it would be intriguing to watch Gary Russell and Inoue fight, that would be.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty cool. Now, Charles, I'm going to ask this question because we were on, and I don't think we're off, but we were on the Leo Santa Cruz bandwagon because he moved up and went, made a little cash grab. Does that devalue the career and the legacy of Leo Santa Cruz? 37-2-1, that's not bad. But does that loss, when he moved up, and as we were saying what happened, he probably shouldn't have, does that devalue his career? It's like, okay, that was stupid. Just value him for who he is.
No, I don't think it does, because real boxing fans and real people that have appreciation for the sport say he took a chance. He wanted to see if he was ready. He found out, no, maybe not. And let's be real about it. In the fight, he was winning the fight early on. When you look at it, he was scoring. But the point of it is, I think the power is what did him in. I don't think he's set up.
He wasn't doing any damage, right?
Yeah, not like that. So, and then he got caught, and then the power on that weight class, was just too much. When Davis put the hammer on him, and he caught him clean. So, kudos to that for him taking a chance. I mean, he also took a chance when he fought Frampton the first time. I mean, and he clearly lost.
Right.
He knocked out like that, but he fought. But to move up, take a chance, didn't work. No, it doesn't take away from legacy. It means that you are willing to risk it. Manny Pacquiao, perfect example. Everybody said he was too small. Too small. And then we wonder how he got to that point.
I did.
But the fact that he did it, he's just too small. But he made it. So when a guy's willing to take a risk, come up short, and now he can go back down to where he really was and still dominate, that's love. That's what you want to see. Because he didn't, he could have stayed where he was at and, been, running smooth and been around for a few years, got some cash. He said, no, I'm going to take a shot, man, because I think I'm good enough. But it was just a little bit too much for him. So no disrespect on that. That's a gamer, man. That's a gamer.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Now, the segue that I ignored 3 times, but I'm going to make it this time, we're going to go to Jermall Charlo, who, there's so many ways I want to couch this, John, but I'm going to ask a simple question. Is it worth looking at that fight the way that it was fought, what he had to do and how he had to get through that fight? Does that, I don't want to say devalue, but does that say, okay, you're fighting at 160, now above you is Canelo, Caleb Plant, and whatever. At 160, we still have Triple G, Andrade, Murata, and all that, blah, blah, blah. You didn't show that charismatic whatever that maybe we were expecting. But he still had a workmanlike fight and got the job done. Does that retard his progress any, or is it just he got the job done? Be happy with that.
He's in a tough spot. He is the Rodney Dangerfield of boxing. I saw so much criticism of that guy after that fight. I mean, it would have, if you read a few of the headlines at first, you would have thought he lost.
Right.
Instead, he basically won every round. He had the guy hurt. He got rattled himself. I mean, we were lucky at Max Boxing that I had a guy right there at ringside, so I got a lot of inside information there. And he said, yeah, Charlo was definitely feeling it from these awkward shots from Montiel in round 6. That doesn't take anything away from him, but apparently it does. And I think if he had knocked out this guy quick, that would have helped his career a lot. This didn't help his career because we've been saying the same thing about Charlo for how long now, Frank? So
4 years easy, yeah.
Right. And he's getting to the point where has to make a move that I think ties into what we were just talking about. Not moving up yet, but fight Andre, please. Fight Demetrius on it. Just get it over with so we find out about these guys, you know? I don't care if it's a catch weight at 164. Just fight them, and then Canelo can say, whoever wins, I'll fight. And we don't have to talk about how good these guys really are, because, see, I think Charlo is really good. I do. But he's one of these fighters that he doesn't impress a lot for people because he's technical. He's not real powerful. He always wins. We had this last time. Just win, baby. But in boxing, a lot of times, it's not just win, baby. You got to entertain me, baby. Back again, Inoue. See, that's Inoue. He knocks people out. He's a home run hitter. People love home run hitters. Charlo not necessarily is a home run hitter, and that hurts him. So if he had knocked out this guy last weekend, we would have been going, okay, he's da-da-da-da. But since he didn't, everybody and his brother was ripping him. He's in a tough spot. I wouldn't even know what to do now with him if I was his manager. I'd be like, God, you know, we got to get Golovkin. You know, if we can't get Golovkin or somebody like that, this is really hurting us. We might as well move up to 160. I mean, or get Munguia or fight Chris Eubank Jr. That would be a hell of a fight. You know, I mean, there are guys there. Fight Andre. I mean, I don't know. That's one of those classic cases, Frank, wrapping this up, is you win or you lose.
Well, and it's funny because you use the phrase everybody and his brother. Charles, let's look at this from a bigger perspective than just Jermall Charlo. Because if Jermall Charlo, and I'm going to forget the date, but it's coming up here relatively soon, is fighting Brian Carlos Castano.
Yeah.
If Jermall unifies the super welter belts and there's no place for him to go, and we know they're not going to fight each other, does that mean Jermall is going to have to move up to super middle just so there's some place for Jermall to go? And we know we assume there's a little bit more of a space between them than there has been in the past. But you say, all right, maybe Jermall comes up and says, I'm going to challenge for the WBA belt, you keep the WBC belt. Or is it, look, brother, you've got to move up to 168, I'm moving up to 160. Is that something that's a consideration for all this, or is that just speculation on some schmo sitting behind a computer desk?
I think they must have a plan, because the way they were working it, I think, you know, Jermall was always like, okay, I can move up. And Jermall was like, I can stay where I'm at. And when we kind of got this down. With Jermall losing, I mean, not losing, but I should say with him having a close fight, I think it just kind of says, hey, some people might think he's vulnerable. That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people saying he's vulnerable. Right. They're like, well, maybe I'll fight him now. Now that, you know, maybe a Triple G and say, yeah, you seem like you got a little chink in your arm. If I hit you hard enough, you might fall. So maybe that helps him there. But I think on the flip side, Jermall goes, there's enough for Jermall to do down the way before him coming to 160. There's a lot at 154 if he wants, as they said, if he wants to smoke. There's enough before he has to tell his brother to move up.
There are people that can move up to it, right?
Yeah, I think there's enough talent there, you know, enough opportunities too. And I don't know. I mean, like we said, if a guy fights close and he wins, the guy he fought was a tough guy. He had power and he's on his way up. And what's wrong with that? I know we kind of saw the eye kind of messed up and kind of wondering. He said it was a headbutt or something. I mean, or whatever. But he was vulnerable. He looked vulnerable. It looked like he was a little weaker than we're normally used to seeing. So is that a bad thing? No. But I think that the two brothers have a plan. To one way, the way it's going one way or the other. And let's be real. Jermall is a very good fighter. There's still enough quality fighters at 160. Jermall is not running right away because he wins this fight. We know there's some at 154. We got what we got, like, was it? It's we still got Lubin's, right? Lubin's.
Rosario.
Yeah, Rosario.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that one.
And
you're stealing my show from me.
Oops.
I mean, we're just saying that there are names there at 154 that are legit and one apiece. So without Jermall running up and saying, hurry up, man, I'm ready to go to 160. The other question too is, why be in a hurry for Jermall to run to 160? The piece of the crown everybody wants is Canelo. And Canelo's not coming back down. So, I mean, until he figures that out and he says whatever, just let it play itself out. There's enough room at the end. There's enough money to be made for both of them, and without them having to jump up, because the only way I see Jermall jumping up to 168 unless he gets to fight Canelo. Why run?
Why go up? Right.
Yeah. There's money there. There's money there, and there's more people coming up. So why jump? I mean, you have
when you still got 3 belts.
Yeah. I mean, why you jumping 168 and then just out there and la in space trying to find people to fight when it's clear going to be enough at 160, and your brother's going to be okay because it's enough money, enough pay-per-views, enough opportunities for him to be there, and they'll do it, nicely with the way that they have to do it. But the prize is Canelo, the prize is Triple G, and let's just say this: if there's not a lot of things or people for Jermall to fight at 160, why the hell would Jermall come running after him?
Right.
You got to stay where the action is, and that's the money.
You got to stay where you go. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
all right. Well, since you guys already said it, I wrote it down in the show notes, so I have to say it. So that's what I'm going to do. But John, I'm going to try and word it better than that. Coming up this weekend, there are 2 title, not really title fights. There's 1 title fight, Gervonta Davis against Barrios. Then we have the return of Loma and Tank versus Nakatani. Are those the 2? Are 2 of those fights the best fight this weekend? Or is it maybe, we already answered this, sorry, Erickson Lubin against Jeison Rosario? Is that the best fight we're going to see this weekend?
To me, it is, and I don't know if it's going to be a great fight, but I think it's fascinating because it's kind of a crossroads fight in a sense, and it's two different approaches to what happens after you lose. Lubin gets knocked out by Charlo in the first round or stop. He rebuilds. Then you got Rosario also gets knocked out by that same Charlo. He doesn't rebuild. He's coming right back and taking on Lubin. So it just depends on your approach. Do you get right back up on that horse or do you rebuild? Now, I tend to be a little more conservative. If I was a manager, I would think, well, I want to rebuild. If my guy's confidence is a little affected, I want him to get some victories under his belt, work on a few things, then fight the other guy. Rosario is not built that way. He's like, I don't care. That fight doesn't matter. Oh, we'll find out. We'll find out. And I love the matchup. I think it's a winner gets Charlo.
Right.
So that's not bad. And then Frank, I want you to call Terrence Crawford and get him to move up to 154 and fight Charlo. How would that be? Charles, I saw him then. He's like, what? What did I hear? So, there are ways to make it work. But yeah, Lomo should win that fight. I mean, if Lomo is still hurt or whatever, he shouldn't have any problems with Nakatani. I mean, Nakatani is tough but limited. Lomo should win. Davis and Barros, Barros trained by Virgil Hunter, who you guys know I have more respect than anybody for him. He's one of the best people I've ever met in my life. Virgil is shrewd, cerebral, strong, and dedicated. Man, he would love that. So he's got a plan in place for his guy. So he knows about Gervonta. He knows everything. He knows more about Gervonta Davis right now than probably Gervonta Davis and Floyd put together. I'm telling you, Virgil will think and overthink and talk and watch and listen, and he's just. I'm not overrating him. He's that kind of a guy. He's a real So he's going to put his fighter, he's going to give his fighter his best chance to win. I think Davis wins just because Gervonta Davis, whatever you think about him, that guy is a strong dude. You know, he's a strong little dude. Now, Barrios might test him his chin, try to do like Santa Cruz did, and Leo never hurt him. You know, you were right, Charles. Leo was right there. He was hitting it, but Davis was going, you know. So Barrios has got to
take you back, yeah.
Exactly. He's got to hurt him a little bit, get him to respect him. And then if he doesn't, Davis will just march him down and stop him. But he's good. Virgil's fighter is good, so that ought to be good. But me, because of the way my brain works and all this stuff about how important it is and approaches and all that, I like the Lubin Rosario fight. I think that one's going to be the one where I'll be lounging and then, okay, we got Erickson, Lubin, and Rosario next. Hey, let's get the computer out. You know, so that one has me really intrigued.
Well, you know that I tend to not ask the same question twice. So I'll try and rephrase a little bit, but I do know that the Iceman wants to see this fight.
Oh.
And it's the Lubin Rosario fight. We've been talking about this for some iteration of these two guys. What about this guy?
Well, yeah, he has mentioned
guys.
He has mentioned him.
Yeah.
Right.
Both of them. They're the forgotten guys. So is this should be heaven for you right now. Lubin and Rosario. This is like we finally get to see them both going. So
yeah, I agree.
Not really a question, just talk.
Yeah, I agree with you because of the fact that you know, Lubin continues to say that I'm not hurt, I'm okay. You know, after the drop off with that loss and the knockout loss. And then, as you mentioned, John, you know, against you know, the loss to Charlo. But when you look at Rosario, Rosario doesn't care. Like you said, he don't give a damn. He was not caring.
He gives a damn, yeah.
No, he doesn't. And you know, I just want the next opportunity because I mean, when he fought after Julian Williams beat Hurd, then okay, Hurd loses, and then Rosario gets a shot versus Julian Williams, and everybody thought Julian Williams. We thought he was gonna win that fight. The setup against Charlo, right? That's what we thought.
That's what we thought.
He didn't win. And then Rosario was like, oh, I won. Now I'll fight Charlo. You know what I'm saying? And now it's like, I get another shot against a dude that y'all say is pretty good. I'll fight him too. I love that attitude. It may not get him a lot of points because maybe you should hold on to that title for a little longer. You get a whole year, right? You should hold on to that title. But
he couldn't.
He does.
He couldn't. That's not his way.
Right, and that's what he does. So I love that about him. It made me cost him a little bit, but it's another gamer. I love that. So I think it's gonna be, like you said, two guys going after for different reasons. You know, this is an opportunity for Lubin. So he wins this fight. I mean, I know the pot of gold at the end is Charlo, but still a lot of guys out there at that weight that you can still get some. But Lubin knows. Even why he changed trainers and everything, he knows he still got one. He got to show us something. He has to prove to us that, hey, I was on the fast track. Now I'm back on that track because I want to win this fight convincingly. I think this is a great start for him. So eventually he moves up and you get another shot at Charlo. Keep your heads up. But I think it says a lot about him, and this will be a major stepping stone for him to get back up to the top.
Well, I know you can't predict these things, and I'm even though I'm saying that I'm going to predict it. This is the tail end of June, so the year is half over. I'm going to predict that there is a very strong possibility this is the fight of the year. This could be the fight of the year because everything points to everything you want to see in a fight. You've got two guys that have been there. You've got two guys who want to get back there. Two guys that got knocked off of being there by the best guy in that division. So it doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that the guy there was better than them and has been better than everyone else. So they've got a lot to prove. And as Charles said, they've got the styles to make this an unbelievable fight. It may not go the distance, but I still say This is going to be, this could be, other than anything else I think you could predict by watching the matchup, I think this could be going into a fight of the year caliber fight. John,
Okay,
am I
Frank.
too far off of that, or go ahead?
To say, who wins?
That I don't know. I really don't know. And that's why I think it makes it fight of the year. I really don't have a clue. If you put a gun to my head, I'd say, go ahead and pull the trigger. I don't know. If I had to choose, I love that reaction.
Come on, Frank. God, he's dramatic.
If I had to choose, I would say Rosario, but I don't really have a reason for that. And if you ask me again tomorrow, I might say Lubin. I really don't know. Charles, what do you think?
I'm glad you asked me that question. No,
Good. Because I had to get the hell off of that.
No, I think I like Rosario. I like the way that he fights. He's a gamer, comes in and he takes chances. But I think Lubin, I would probably select Lubin simply because of the fact that he has to have watched Rosario's fights, right, against Charlo, and then also seeing against Julian Williams. And if Lubin is real about what he says and he really is a student of the game, he has to know what he likes to do and what he doesn't like to do. And then that strategy with his new talent and his new camp should help him understand that I'm the better fighter. I'm the more I wouldn't say seasoned, but the more strategic fighter. And that should give him an upper hand. But then again, he might just be blowing smoke.
See?
Rosario, because I clearly thought Julian Williams would outclass Rosario. And they got into a match, and before you know it, Rosario was like, no. So it could go one way or the other, but I'm going to try to give Lubin the benefit of the doubt because he's changed some things and he says he's ready. And the punching power that he has at times, with the combinations and whatnot, he's shown us that, but we're still waiting. So I agree with you, but if I had to choose one right now, I'm going to go with Lubin, just off of straight guessing.
Well, see, these are two guys that I say never undervalue, never underestimate. Now they're in against each other. All right, Mr. Smarty Pants, what do you think, Jeff?
I won't say that. Boy, you're right, Frank. I wouldn't shoot myself over if somebody made me make a call on it, but it is a toughie. Interestingly enough, the last time I checked the odds, Lubin is a 3-1 favorite, which to me is way too high. I mean, these guys are there. That's what they do. But talking about it psychologically like we do, we love to do this. I mean, I think Rosario, the fact that he's got that I don't care attitude, that could help him. And he beat Jay Williams, but he was getting beat, if you guys remember. He was getting pounded. Right. He was wobbled, but he guy is gutsy. That's why when he went down against Charlo, he was like, hey, man, that must have hurt. Didn't look like much, because that guy is gutsy. So I think Lubin is, I think Lubin is technically better. The Hammer, I think he's probably got more talent. If he can stay disciplined and fight the way he can, I give him the edge to win. But Rosario hurts him, takes him into some deep waters, he'll drown him. I mean, I think he's that tough. He is. If it gets that way where it's who's got, I don't know, I hate to say it, like who's got a bigger heart. They both got big hearts, but for some reason I just feel like Rosario's got that extra grit, maybe because I saw it against Williams. But I think Lubin will probably win by a stoppage late or a decision, but I wouldn't put any money on it, Frank. It's like that. It's a toughie. A tough one.
Well, see, now, Charles, this is something we were talking about off air. One thing that I think is in Rosario's favor, and I think you'll appreciate this, is that he is the 3-1 underdog. That is to his favor. Because he's going to take that, and you know this guy. He's going to take that and be like, "Oh, really?
Motivation, yeah.
What? Now I really got to show you. Before I really was motivated, but now it's over the top." And
yeah, now,
you see
Frank, I might put money down on Rosario.
Yeah,
I might. And I don't
because
gamble much, so I might just because
Yeah.
there's something about that guy, you know?
Do you think that's going to be a factor, Charles? The fact that he's undervalued in this fight? You think that's the little bit extra motivation that he needs, even if he doesn't need any more motivation to begin with?
No doubt. I mean, I think it's probably the same motivation he had with Julian Williams. As John said, you know, he was getting rocked, but it's like, okay, you might be the more technical fighter, but if we ever enter into what we call a fight, that's where
Right.
it's mono and we're throwing hands.
Right.
I think I might be a little tough enough
That's it.
to take you down. And I think that's what it is. So, like you said, if Lubin stays disciplined and kind of moving in and out boxing and not get too much in too many skirmishes, then there's a great chance that he can win the fight. But yeah, Rosario, man, he feel like he's a wild card. I don't belong here. Like, that's the attitude. I don't belong here. So even when he lost to Charlo, it was like, yeah, this dude's a lot better than I thought. But that's okay. He's the top of the class, right? So okay. But these other dudes, yeah, I got a shot. You know, put me in there with them. I may not be the best, but damn it, I might not be in your top 10, but I'm damn sure your number 11 pick. Huh?
Well, this is a first for this show this year anyway. We're going to end the show with this statement. One, you both think something fantastic is going to happen, and I agree. I have made a prediction, which I rarely do, that let's look at this on June 24th, 2021. We had predicted beforehand the fight of the year is going to occur this Saturday. Now, will I come back next week and look like a fool? More than likely, but I'm used to that. So, but this is where we're at. I think and when we talk about, you know, is it back? Are we back to whatever? That's why the background has a full crowd instead of an empty ring. I think we're there. We're starting to get these kind of fights, these matchups. And now we've got guys that have had a chance to fight a little bit, and now they're coming back to another fight. Donaire coming back up again in another couple weeks here.
August.
Just fought. Right. Yeah. Now we're getting guys that are back in the schedule, back in the swing of things. So I think we're getting what we were looking for throughout the bubble. I just spoke with someone, and I'm going to say hello, that gave me that's been following us from Australia. We're going to try and get the Maloney's situation here, how they're recovering from the bubble and what they do. Hope to talk about that. Yeah, exactly. You know, those are the things that now they've got a chance to get back to normalcy. We'll see how that plays out. So there are a lot of things coming up, and I think we're back. So boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, come back next week because it's happening. And I'm not going to mention rocking anymore because we went from J-Rock to Getting Rock to rock and roll and just Alan Freed, say goodbye.
Rocky the movie.
Right. Rocky the movie.
Rocky the Broadway play.
We're going to talk Alan Freed and Chuck Berry.
Alan Freed, wow.
Yes, I know. That's a good place to stop.
Impressive.
Bye-bye.